A lot of people ask, what's your favorite gaming generation? That's not the question I want to ask at all. The question I'd like to ask is, what generation do you spend the most time in? What generation do you live in? What's the one you always come back to? Maybe it's the PlayStation. Maybe it's the Nintendo 64. Maybe it's GameCube. And here's what's interesting. I don't think your favorite gaming generation, your most nostalgic one, or the one you spend the most time in, are always the same. When people ask what's the greatest gaming generation of all time, it usually turns into a debate. The PlayStation 2 because of its massive library, the Xbox 360 because it innovated online gaming. Maybe people are saying Nintendo because of their exclusives. Everyone has an opinion, but I think we're asking ourselves the wrong question. Instead of asking ourselves what generation is objectively the best, I think we should ask, which generation do we spend the most time playing in? Because that's probably the generation that matters the most. For a lot of us, nostalgia clouds the answer. We remember racing home after school, opening a new game on Christmas morning, or playing split screen with our friends. Don't get me wrong, those memories are real. But are we actually playing those games today? Sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes, not at all. Even with games getting bigger, prettier, and technically better, I keep finding myself being pulled back to older generations. I don't think I'm alone. I think a lot of gamers are doing the same thing. Why is that though? Why do we keep getting pulled back to the past? I think there are a few reasons. First, older games respected your time. You could turn on your console, be playing within seconds, beat a level, save, and then go about your day. No giant downloads, no day one patches, no need to be connected to the internet, nothing complicated to understand, just you and the game. Secondly, those generations were packed with variety. Weird experimental titles, licensed to movie games. Back then, developers were willing to take a risk. Sometimes they failed. Sometimes they succeeded, and we still talk about those games 20 or 30 years later. Thirdly, games back then were affordable. This ties in recently to what we've been talking about on the channel about rising game prices. As prices continue climbing, older generations become more attractive. Whether you're collecting original games, buying physical copies, or using an emulation device, there are thousands of games waiting to be played. Many of these games cost less than a brand new release. But here's the part I find most interesting. Your most played generation may not be your favorite. Maybe the NES got you into gaming. Maybe the PlayStation 2 has your strongest memories. Maybe the Xbox 360 is the generation you always came back to. Or maybe you spend most of your time gaming on modern handhelds because life is busy and they're more convenient. That's okay. Those are all different answers. For me, on the surface level, my answer is pretty simple. I would say my time is spent roughly 50-50. Modern games, older games. Personally for me, I define modern as anything 8th generation and newer. PS4, PS5. The other half of my game time, I spend between a few different retro consoles. I use air quotes because I want you to be the judge, whether or not these are retro or not. Let me know. Those three systems are PS3, Xbox 360, and the PlayStation 2. I'm not one who strictly plays retro games, and I'm also not one that only plays modern titles either. As you can probably tell, I'm huge into tech, and graphic fidelity at its highest capability certainly has my heart. But just like I'm into the latest and greatest, I have equal passion for what got me here in the first place. I'm talking about my two all-time favorite game systems, the PS2 and the PS3. Both of these systems have a special place in my life for similar but rather different reasons. Some of my most precious memories in life are from the PlayStation 2 era. Whether it be watching my brother play or grabbing the second controller for split screen, I enjoyed every gaming session during that generation. Later in its life cycle, Sony released the PS2 Slim. This is important because it's the first system I got on my own. Of course I had Game Boys and all growing up, but having your first all-to-yourself system was a legendary feeling. Finally, I had full choice of what games I got and played. One of my first was Ratchet & Clank. Anyways, PlayStation 3 wasn't too far away, and of course I purchased that system a couple years after it came out. The 7th generation of game consoles was a pathway for making online gaming mainstream. Me being in high school at the time, online gaming was a huge social aspect. PlayStation 3 certainly was the minority in my school, so a couple years after owning it, I ended up selling it for an Xbox 360. That was definitely the move at the time. Call of Duty on the 360 was a vibe. Never forget. I respect the Halo era too. Although I wasn't a part of it, I definitely saw it firsthand. So PS2, PS3, and a little bit of 360 are where I spend the other half of my gaming time. I think a cool bridge between retro and modern gaming are both remasters and backwards compatibility. We've talked remakes on the channel, but remasters could be a good middle ground. I know people have different opinions on remasters, but it allows you to play that original game on modern hardware. Here's the funny thing. As we get older, I think our favorite generation changes. Not because the games change, but because we do. As kids, it seems like we have endless free time. As adults, we value convenience, comfort, and familiarity. Games that don't demand hundreds of hours before they become fun. Maybe that's why so many of us keep going back. Not because gaming used to be better, but because those generations still fit into our lives. So, what's your answer? Not what the generation critics say is the greatest, and not what everyone else chooses, but what's the generation that you actually live in? The one you spend the most hours with. The one you'll probably still be playing 10 years from now. Because I have a feeling, for a lot of us, it's probably not that new system that's sitting under our TV. It's the one we really never left. If you enjoyed this video, I'd love to hear your answer in the comments. What is your favorite generation? What is your most nostalgic one? And which one do you spend the most time in? I have a feeling that answer is going to be very different for a lot of people.